You know, when you think about self-driving cars, they feel like something straight out of science fiction, right? A future that's always just a few years away. But what if I told you that the dream of a car that drives itself, well, it's not new at all. In fact, it's nearly 100 years old, with a history that's way more surprising than you'd think.
So what's the real deal here? Are these cars truly the future, about to make our roads safer and our commutes easier? Or is this whole thing just a fantasy, something that's always going to be just out of reach because the challenges are just too huge? Well, let's get into it and find out.
Okay, so to really understand where we're going, we've got to look back, way back. And believe it or not, our story doesn't start in Silicon Valley with a bunch of coders. Nope, it starts in the roaring 20s.
Yeah, you heard that right, 1925. An inventor basically let a radio-controlled car loose on the streets of New York City. It was called the American Wonder. Now, to be fair, it was being operated from another car driving right behind it, but still, it wasn't exactly a smooth debut. It apparently swerved around other cars in a milk wagon before, yep, it crashed. But hey, in that moment, the dream was officially born. From that kind of chaotic beginning, the idea just took off. By 1939, you had General Motors at the World's Fair showing off these future AMA concepts of fully automated highways. Then you fast forward to the 1980s, and universities like Carnegie Mellon are building the first cars that could actually see and navigate by themselves. But the real game changer? That was 2004 when the military's research agency DARPA held this high-stakes race in the desert. And that is what kicked the modern race for autonomy into high gear.
So how in the world did we get from a remote-controlled car crashing in New York to the super sophisticated systems we have today? Well, it really all comes down to giving the car a brain and a set of senses. Honestly, the easiest way to wrap your head around this is to just think of the car as a person, right? It needs eyes to see, it needs other senses to understand what's going on around it, and it needs a brain to process all that info and make split-second decisions just like you or I do behind the wheel.
And that brain? Well, that's the artificial intelligence, the AI. It's the command center, taking in this constant, massive flood of data from the car's sensors. And it has to answer a million questions instantly. Is that a stop sign, or is it a red balloon? Is the car ahead slowing down, or did the driver just tap their brakes? The AI has to sort all of this out in the blink of an eye.
The car gets its senses from a whole suite of different technologies. Cameras are basically its eyes, for reading signs and seeing traffic lights. Then you've got radar, which works kind of like a bat sonar, sending out radio waves to judge distance and speed. And then there's Lidar. It shoots out millions of laser points to build this incredibly detailed, constantly updating 3D map of the world around it. Pretty amazing stuff.
And this is exactly why cars need more than just one type of sensor. Radar is a total workhorse. It sees right through rain and fog. No problem. But its picture is a little fuzzy, lower res. Lidar, on the other hand, gives you that beautiful, high-definition 3D image. The catch? It can struggle in bad weather. So, when you combine them, the car gets the best of both worlds, and the whole system becomes way safer and more reliable.
So, as all this tech started developing, things got super confusing. Like, does a car with adaptive cruise control count as self-driving? What about one that parks itself? The industry realized pretty quickly they needed to be speaking the same language.
And that's where the Society of Automotive Engineers, or the SAE, stepped in. They came up with a standardized 6-level system to define exactly how autonomous a car is. It brought some much-needed clarity to the whole conversation.
Let's break these down real quick, because it's important. Level 0, 1, and 2. The human is always in charge. A lot of new cars with stuff like lane keeping assist, that's level 2. The first big jump is to level 3. That's where the car is actually driving itself, but only under specific conditions, and you have to be ready to take over. Level 4 is a huge step up. The car can handle everything by itself, but only in a limited mapped-out area, like a specific city. And then there's the Holy Grail, Level 5. That's a car that can drive itself literally anywhere a human can, in any condition. No driver needed, ever.
And this all brings us to the core issue with self-driving cars. On one side, you have this promise of a transportation utopia. But on the other, you have the harsh reality that the road to get there is packed with some very serious real-world problems.
And the promise is, it's incredible. Human error is a factor in something like 94% of car crashes. So these things could save countless lives. They could talk to each other to eliminate traffic jams, drive way more efficiently to cut pollution, and give a whole new level of freedom to the elderly and people with disabilities. It's a massive deal.
But then, 2016 happened. That was the year of the first known fatal accident involving a passenger in a car using an autopilot mode. It was a tragic and really sobering reminder that this technology, for all of its incredible promise, was just not foolproof yet.
That event really highlighted the enormous challenges that go way beyond just the tech itself. We still have to figure out how to deal with rare but critical software glitches, wrestle with some really complex ethical dilemmas, and maybe the biggest hurdle of all, we have to earn the public's trust.
And a huge part of that trust problem actually comes from marketing. When companies use exciting names like autopilot or full self-driving, it can give drivers a totally false sense of security, just like this warning here says. That confusion is really dangerous because it can lead to people over-trusting a system that still needs their full attention.
And this leads us to maybe one of the biggest, thorniest questions of all. If a self-driving car gets into a crash, whose fault is it? Is it the owners, the car manufacturers, the person who wrote the software? The honest answer is our laws simply haven't caught up to this technology yet. So, ultimately, this is the question we're left with. The technology, the hardware, the software, the AI, it is all moving forward at an absolutely incredible pace. It really feels like it's almost here. But the real question is, are we ready? As a society, are we ready for the legal, the ethical, and the social revolution that's going to come with it? Because right now, that seems to be the biggest roadblock on the path to our autonomous future.